Why are used car prices in Venezuela so absurdly high?
Which part of the population wants a new car? The whole country.
Why is there such a shortage?
Venezuela is still going through a process of economic recovery.
One that's also impacting the car market. Venezuela was once a wealthy country. Thanks to its vast oil reserves, it ranked among the most prosperous nations in Latin America. But today, Venezuela is battling one of the world's worst economic crises. It began under President Hugo Chavez and has grown steadily worse under his successor, Nicolás Maduro. Signs of the country's economic decline can be seen everywhere. At gas stations, long lines are the norm. Oil production has fallen from nearly 2.7 million barrels per day in 2013 to under 1 million in 2025. Hyperinflation and shortages of goods and services have plunged the country into a complex humanitarian emergency. With public transport in poor condition, those who can afford it buy their own vehicles. But in the Venezuelan car market, that means doing a lot of homework. Weighing new models from emerging markets against older vehicles that often cost just as much as a brand new one.
What's better, buying a 12 or 14-year-old Toyota, knowing the quality they have, or taking a chance on a new car from a dealership I'm not familiar with?
The
problem with used cars really comes down to the price and what folks think their vehicle is worth.
Influencer and mechanic Rangel rose to fame with his social media series Cafecito. There, he humorously exposes Venezuela's inflated used car prices, helps consumers make smart choices, and even offers cars for sale himself.
Tenemos por acá Chevrolet Swift. Ajá, Chevrolet Swift 1.6, 92, 231,000 kilómetros, $3,000. Santo Cristo, $3,000 le toca mucho cafecito.
First, you need to understand that starting in 2007, domestic car manufacturing and car imports ground to a halt. The last batches arrived in 2012, 2013, leading to a complete stagnation in car imports until 2018, 2019, when they started to pick up again. We're talking about a period of 12 or 13 years where owners had no choice but to maintain their used cars. With a fleet of 4 million vehicles, no imports, and cars breaking down, the number of roadworthy cars kept shrinking. This caused the cars that were well maintained to retain or increase in value because there were no new cars available.
Luis is looking for a car, a used vehicle that's mechanically reliable, in good condition, and costs no more than $5,500. In a market where even old cars are expensive, that's a real challenge.
In Venezuela, used cars aren't priced according to their real value, but based on the seller's needs. That drives up prices in ways that don't make sense for a used vehicle and creates an inflation of used car prices in this country. The problem with used cars really comes down to the price and what folks think their vehicle is worth. They sell based on their own needs and not on the car's actual value. The car might be worth $1,000, but as we discussed, if a person needs $6,000, then that's what it's worth, because that's what they need to solve their problem.
Isaac Delgado, a young Venezuelan entrepreneur, is looking to upgrade his 2008 car. Used or new? That's the question. He starts by going to dealerships selling Chinese brands, like MG, once a British company, which are trying to establish themselves in the Venezuelan market. They're competing with used cars over a decade old, which, despite their age, are priced the same as brand new Asian models.
I'm looking for a car because mine is already really old. I have a 2008 Toyota Yaris, and it's time for a change. 15 years of an obsolete fleet, unfortunately. We all have cars from 2005, 2007, 2009, and it's 2025 now. It's hard to believe, but sometimes a 2015 model is considered new here. Anywhere else in the world, it would be headed to the scrapyard.
Since 2019, the automotive sector in Venezuela has been experiencing a slow revival. Authorized dealers of international brands are well aware of the strong competition posed by the used car market. In an economy plagued by hyperinflation, MG was one of the first brands to offer financing to customers. Still, would-be buyers remain skeptical. Like Isaac, many are wary of the terms on offer.
If we were in a more normal economy, the financing offered by these dealerships would be reasonable. But given the reality of this country, it's not an option for everyone. Not everyone can afford the high down payment needed to buy these vehicles.
Monthly payments of $500 or $1,000 are increasingly out of reach for Venezuela's middle and upper middle classes, which are shrinking by the day. Only a few dealers in Venezuela sell new cars. Among them, Ricardo Marquez of the Velosa dealership network in the capital Caracas. On a test drive in a new Suzuki, the difference is clear. Most vehicles on the road here are between 10 and 30 years old.
80% of the vehicles are quite old. There's an Aveo. They date from 2000 to 2012. This is a car from 1994. Over there you have a Tariffs from 2005. On the right we have a 2004 Honda Accord. In a way, this government has loosened the regulations. Before, you could only import new cars. Now you can import cars up to 5 years old.
But so-called nationalization costs are incurred when importing vehicles into Venezuela. These include customs duties, value-added tax, registration and administrative fees, as well as long-standing protective levies. They date back to a time when Venezuela still had its own car production that was meant to be shielded. That's why prices for imported vehicles are as much as 60 to 70% above the international average, even for cars that are decades old.
Nationalization taxes were always there to protect Venezuela's automotive industry. There's no longer an auto industry, and somehow the people are still paying the price.
Isaac continues his search for a new car. His next step is to get an appraisal of his current vehicle. That's why he's come to a used car dealership for an inspection to find out how much his car is worth in its current condition.
Well, as it stands now, it needs new shock absorbers. The old ones are kind of bent. I just put in a new compressor. And then there are the brakes, which I need to fix.
A thorough inspection reveals that the 17-year-old Toyota Yaris does have some mechanical issues that drag down the price.
The sale price is $7,000 or $8,000. We'll buy it for $6,000 to have that margin to invest in the car and always retain a profit. I was hoping for a bit more, but I think I'll go for it. With what I get from selling this car, plus what I already have, I can reach the $15,000 I need for the down payment on the SUV I've been looking at, so I think it'll work out.
Isaac has his eye on a 2008 Toyota 4Runner. Old, but in good shape.
How much? This one costs $23,500, cheap for the market. These can sell for $26,000 or $27,000 because it's the most in-demand SUV brand in Venezuela and spare parts are available. I like it, man, but as I told you, we've been to the official dealerships, and I'm talking about a 2024 SUV costing $23,000, $24,000, $25,000. It's a 2008, man. It's true, people became very addicted or very trusting. People trusted the brand, and that's given the brand an extremely high value here in this country.
Meanwhile, in Caracas, Reny is filming a new video about a Venusia, the car brand that's a joint venture between China's Dongfeng Motor and Nissan. Lots of people are curious about it, including Jose Bonilla. For him, it's not the quality of Chinese cars that concerns him, but what happens when you need to repair them.
People are wary of Chinese cars because of the issue with spare parts. You could buy a used Toyota for the same price as a new Chinese car, and at least you know the spare parts are available. And, above all, people who can fix them. With these new technologies, it's hard to find a mechanic who can work on them.
As Isaac leaves the last dealership, he knows his dream car, the used Toyota SUV, is too costly, but he doesn't want a Chinese model.
From the new car dealerships we visited, a brand new car is a brand new car. But there were a few things I didn't like how the car started. I'm just not convinced by the Chinese market.
And Isaac is no exception. Many Venezuelans have reservations about Chinese cars, even when it comes to MG, once a legacy British brand. But despite market resistance and skepticism from customers, brands like MG believe it is possible to capture a fairly large market share in the medium and long term.
This is a process that will take a few more years. It's a difficult process. We can't deny that Venezuelan purchasing power is still very low, especially compared to the entire region.
Still, there are some bold steps which could be taken right away, Reny Rangel believes.
Solving this is simple. Open up imports and eliminate tariffs or cut them to the minimum, since there's no longer an industry to protect. In short, updating the vehicle fleet could help kickstart economic growth.
The controversial Maduro government, however, is taking a different approach, focusing on short-term stabilization through oil sales and foreign investments. So far, targeted reforms to the car market, like tariff cuts or support programs, haven't yet appeared. What do you think? Leave us a comment. And don't forget to subscribe to Rev.